You can't take it with you when you're gone, so how do you make the most of it while you are here? It's time for Your Money Matters with Sam and Dieter from Harness Financial.
And just Sam in the studio this morning, though he's got a guest with him. So over to you, Sam.
Yes, good morning, Sean. This morning we are joined by Maurice Clarke. And Maurice is a seasoned Wellington property developer and owner of Wellington construction firm McKeith Fowle since 1987. Maurice, you're passionate about the restoration of Wellington's heritage buildings, and you and your team have restored many icons around the city, such as Public Trust Hall and Stout Street, on Stout Street, and the 100-year-old Stuart Dawson's Corner as well. And you're a client of Harness Financial, at least your firm is. Welcome. It's good to have you here.
Thank you. And I'm pleased to be on here.
It's good to have you.
I'm more of a... sorry, I've got a frog in the throat. I'm more of a property investor now.
Okay.
But also, I'm a rare animal in that I'm a contractor, a developer, and an investor in the property world. And entirely focused in Wellington with an angle on heritage.
Yeah. Certainly Wellington could do with some more heritage buildings.
Yes, I kind of got into heritage because one of the first buildings I bought was the old government life building down on Custom House Quay, the big sandstone coloured looking one. And from then, that was built by the Ministry of Works after the Napier earthquake. They knocked down a previous brick monolith, and then I went on and bought the what is now the IMBY building, the old defence building. People know it, and it was a parliamentary building before that. And across the road, we then took a chance on the old Public Trust building, which was a challenge.
Well, I imagine, but I've been in there a number of times for various corporate events, and it's certainly a beautiful, beautiful building. So thanks for restoring that. We need more things like it. Hey, I wanted to ask you, how has commercial property changed in Wellington over your career? What does it look like today compared to what it looked like back when you started out?
Commercial property, of course, is very much dependent on the tenants and the users, and in the old days we'd have a fairly strong supply of tenants in the big corporates, the big professional firms, and of course government, and that's changed fairly dramatically. A lot of the corporates went to Auckland. The big professional firms have got much smaller and tended to gravitate towards look at me type buildings on the waterfront, and because the government is, as we all know, is compressing and they were endorsing work from home, but that seems to be changing. So there's been quite a substantial reduction in demand for premises. But contrary to that, or compensating for that, there were a lot of buildings which were lost in the Kaikoura earthquake, which got demolished. And that took a lot of space out of the market.
Sure. Are we still dealing with the aftermath of that in Wellington?
Well, we're dealing with the aftermath and the scared shitless engineers that they never want to be held to account again for a collapsing building.
Yeah.
So they're making it very, very difficult to strengthen buildings and advising clients that even a building with the most minor or the highest possible risk is a risk to staff and government tenants or government management of tenants can't seem to get across their head that it's a 1 in 1,000 chance.
Do you have a hot take on the Civic Square bridge situation?
Well, I actually built the bridge, or as the contractor who built the bridge, and so I know what it's like, and I know it is built a bit on the sea wall, and we didn't then really investigate the foundation's conditions. So the whole Kaikoura earthquake and the liquefaction question, you would tend to, if you'd gone down to see the port after the earthquake and how the port wharves had collapsed into the sea, you begin to understand a bit what's worrying them, the engineers on the City to Sea Bridge and the foundations and the sea wall. It just, and also all the Plunket Park is threatened by the same. And they're talking of that slumping a metre to metre and a half, and that will destroy any bridge foundations.
Yeah.
But, there's been a lot of suggestions. One I like is it won't kill anyone if it fell down. If it blocks the road, just park a big bulldozer down at the bottom and clear the bridge quickly. Be a hell of a lot better, cheaper than spending 90 million and knocking it down and building another one.
Right, yeah.
So, I think it's I can understand the reasons why it's been coming down, but it's sad.
Yeah, sure. Maurice, if you were to start your commercial property investment journey today, being a few years younger perhaps, what would you buy and why?
Well, commercial properties have been quite good for me. Mainly I've been, initially I focused a lot on providing student accommodation. So in my career I bought 5 empty buildings which were maybe earthquake threatened, were unloved, and converted them into probably about 1,100 student rooms.
Wow.
Over 3 or 4, 5 buildings. And that was quite good commercial property. Conversions is a little bit what I do, but it's getting harder and harder now with the earthquake requirements and all the government regulations. Every time you want to convert a building to a residential, you've got to put in double or triple glazing. You've got to, thermal insulation as thick as your double arms. And they're looking at a lot of things like that. It's very, very difficult, very expensive.
Sure, and often, it's the end user that suffers the most in what they...
Well, the end user just can't afford it. Their cost of living's gone up and up and up. Their salaries haven't gone up. I mean, and their productivity hasn't gone up as well. So I think we're heading towards a second-grade nation if we aren't already there.
Yeah. It's really great to have you on here, and thank you for agreeing to be here. We've been looking after McKeefell's group, life trauma income protection and health insurance for quite some time, and I wanted to ask you, how have you found that experience, having that in place for your staff?
Well, Sam, I take that as a bit of a patsy question. And,
you knew I was going to ask it.
Brilliantly delivered, though, Sam, I must say.
but no, you've introduced us to NIB Insurance for medical. We've found that very successful with the staff. We're dealing with construction companies, construction personnel. They tend not to think. They think they're bulletproof. They tend not to do much about it. The fact that it's free, and then when they need it, boy, thank you, Maurice. It's we didn't know we had all of that there, and that's you and your efforts of Harness Finance have very much been instrumental in that. So,
yeah, it's been a pleasure looking after you guys. Do you want to talk a little bit about the band Rotunda, or you don't want to?
No, I'm very happy to.
Can I just say, when you introduced yourself and you talked about the buildings, I smiled because every building, heritage building you talked about, and I've lived here my whole life, I can see it in my mind's eye. Those buildings are literally in my kind of soul as a Wellingtonian, like Stuart Dawson's Corner. And it kind of informs me, construction... property development isn't just about square footage or how much you're paying per square foot. Cities are made of those iconic places, physical places, and the emotion they actually evoke in people, which is why heritage is actually bloody important.
Well, there is a saying in heritage is that a city without heritage is a city with no soul. And they found that a lot in England when they built the new cities, and they were just characterless. And they
Yeah.
just,
So what about the rotunda? Sorry, I'm interested.
Well, rotunda is a classic heritage thing, and I've studied the history of it and where it was built and so forth. But I just struck when I took it on to try and renovate it, fix it up, and I struck two major factors. One was the earthquake requirements. Council feel they need to have 100 or 80% MBS for good reasons or bad reasons, and COVID and the demise really of the hospitality industry as well. It has individual things. It's a drive-to place. It's not walkable. They can't walk by and say, "Oh, let's go and have a cup of coffee," except at the weekends. It's a stunning location, but again, it's just too big, and big means big dollars for me to strengthen it, which is a proportion to the area of the building, and so you run up a big bill just to strengthen it for $4 or $5-6 million, and we had to ask a rent of something like $400,000 just to break even. No restaurateur can support that.
No.
So what's going to happen with it, Maurice? Is it just
I don't know. I don't know.
And crumble away.
Well, I basically couldn't get it away. I've spent at least $500,000 on it already. Council said, "Oh well, you've had your time, Maurice. They've taken it off me, and they've gone into a huddle and they may have a plan for it. I don't know. I mean, some big international firm might take it on. Oh, we've done one of those in Sydney. We can do it here."
Make a very nice radio studio.
You wouldn't mind a $400,000
No,
rent?
No. Very much pipe dreaming one.
Yeah. Well, have you got any interesting projects coming up, Maurice? Any restorations or any?
Well, no. It's a bit of just at the moment in the current market. It's just hold your ground. But I do have one which is the 80th Terrace, which is the big white building you see very clearly from the motorway, and it used to be AXA before that, and various other things, and that was built in the 80s, built with all the wrong things, which we now call the Dicor buildings, and a flexible building, which is not what they wanted.
Does that mean that it flexes in a quake, or
it flexes in a quake? Yes.
Right.
And the engineers at that time said, "Oh, that's good. Flexing means movement, means energy absorption, and so forth. That's good." Now they're finding that it deforms the building too much and deforms the floor slabs too much, and so on. So they had some near misses in flexible buildings, mainly the statistics building, which dropped one of the panels, and they've done a lot of testing. So that building was a challenge building. One way we try and deal with that is to put in, and we're fairly avant-garde, leading edge on it, and putting viscous dampers in it. This is like the dampers you have on your car, which will absorb a shock and make it less flexible, and therefore and more strong and less likely to collapse or fail. They will never collapse, but fail.
Right.
We're close to time. Maurice, I do want to ask you, and it's actually really good at the end of the year to have you in here. Look, I talk to an awful lot of people feeling very down about Wellington. You've been around a while, though. You've seen the cycle turn. We do get out of this eventually, don't we? This city's not actually dying.
Well, I've seen it twice, probably, the 86, which really hit in the early 90s, and the early, I forget even the dates on it now.
GFC 2015.
2015,
yeah.
Those times, the mid-20s,
Yeah.
And we've come out of it. With respect to commercial property, I'm a little more depressed. The work from home, if it's cemented in, it's going to be fairly dramatic in winding down a city lifeblood. I've got hospitality space, which is really suffering. One of the reasons why I didn't proceed further and take a risk on hospitality in the Banding Rotunda. So I got the press hall complex, and we're just begging for customers to come in. And, so no, I am a little
Okay.
a little more depressed. I don't think we're going to rubber ball bounce back like that.
Okay.
No.
And we might have to do some fundamental change as well. The other thing is I just realised this is the last Harness Financial Money Matters for the year, because we're off and you're off. And Sam, I hope you've enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed these sessions, and we've had amazing feedback from them, because it's not something that we would normally have done in my sort of milieu, but the topics we've covered, and people who ring in, and damn it, I hate it. People come back, could you ask well, you can just ring them now. You didn't ring when they were on the studio. I hope it's been fun for you guys.
It has been fun. It's really nice having these sort of longer form conversations.
Yeah.
I mean, Dieter and I, our heart for the series really is just how can we bring as much value to Kiwis when it comes to financial services as possible.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. Hopefully people feel a little bit more informed about some stuff, which
and
is
if
good.
people want your help, they want to get hold of you for the advice that you offer within the terms of the New Zealand legislation as to liability for financial advice, how do they get hold of you?
027 33 44812 is my number. And also www.harnessfinancial.co.nz.
And that's the way to do it. And we've got a windshield function.
Oh, we got a party next week. Yes,
it's next week, isn't it? Okay, and I'm round. It's in the diary, and I won't miss that one. I can also just say, Maurice, it's kind of an honour to meet you, because you're not an unknown Wellingtonian.
Oh, thank you for that, Sean.
You've been around a while, so that was a real pleasure too. There you go, mate. And everyone, that is the last Money Matters for the year. I hope we can do some business again next year. We'll talk about that at your Christmas party, maybe.
Your Money Matters with Sam and Dieter from Harness Financial. To make the most out of your money, visit harnessfinancial.co.nz.